Hello and good morning. Welcome to This Week with Pastor Dino. I'm Dino and I'm so glad you are joining us here at First Presbyterian Church of Bradenton, where we are cultivating hearts for Jesus from the heart of downtown. Now we're in the middle of the Lenten season. We've been going through the last days of Jesus, and a psalm really jumps out to me as we think about the way Jesus was persecuted. So let's hear the psalmist's words as we start off today. Lord, see how my enemies persecute me. Have mercy and lift me up from the gates of death, that I may declare your praises in the gates of daughter Zion, and there rejoice in your salvation. See, persecution is going to happen to us all. I mean, think about this. Jesus, Pontius Pilate wants to release him, and the Jews choose to release a guy named Barabbas, who was a known rioter and murderer. And that's how things go. Jesus gets persecuted. We as Christians get persecuted. The church was persecuted in the first century and has been ever since. But that's not the end of the story. Rising above these things and seeing how God is going to deliver us, even in the most difficult of circumstances, is key to our faith. And so when we're feeling persecuted, when we feel like things aren't going well for us, we have to remember to give those things to God and just ask Him for His salvation and His grace to come into our lives. So this week, I hope you'll be thinking about that as things come up, as you continue to reflect in this Lenten season. Ask God for His deliverance, His salvation to come into your life. This week, the church office will be open all week long, Monday through Friday, and don't forget you need to be making those Easter reservations. When you go to our website, bradenton.church, you will see a pop-up that comes up right there on the front page that says make your Easter reservations here. That will take you to our Eventbrite link, and that's how you will be able to get a ticket for the Easter services. So make sure you do that soon. Things are filling up, and we would love to get everyone there and be well prepared for that.
And now, this is what Ralph thinks.
What do you think about spring training with all the COVID protocols going on?
You know, I don't like it. I'm not going to invite you to a spring training game this year. Sorry. Number one, I don't like the social distancing, and I can't get my regular spring training seats that I've had for over 25 years at Lecom Stadium. And then the mask requirement and everything. Yes, I understand where it is and not where it's coming from, but I don't really have any interest sitting through a baseball game having to wear a mask all the time. So I'm going to pass on spring training this year.
That was what Ralph thinks.
That's a Ralph.
You know, I was thinking it's been a while since I've done a tour of the building, and even though we've opened things back up and folks are coming back to church, that doesn't mean every one of you has been able to get back to church. So let's do a quick tour of the building. I want to show you some of the highlights. The offices are well used at this point. We are having a great time in our new office space. The sanctuary, it's great to see people filling back up, and we've really been able to utilize that technology that's in there, so we thank the Building Commission for continuing on to that. The parking lot, we're starting to see that filling up, and what a blessing it is to not have to traipse through the mud and the dirt and the grass on the way into church on Sunday mornings. We've got an incredible LED sign out on Manatee Avenue that tells people what's going on in the life of our church as they drive by. And our Welcome Center is an amazing space for everyone who comes into our doors to feel the love and hospitality that we have here at First Pres. And what's not to be missed is the donor wall. This is recognition of every single person who took place in the Taking a Stand Building and Faith campaign. So make sure you show up at church one of these days and find your name. In terms of online programming this week, we've got the ABCs of Faith Lent edition on Wednesday night at 7. Now this coming Wednesday is going to be our last episode of the Lent edition of the ABCs of Faith. If you've missed any of them, they are still online. You can tune in, check them out. It's been a lot of fun. We've learned a few things, and this next week will be our last one. During Holy Week, we will be having a musical worship presentation that you're not going to want to miss as well, but that's coming up in a couple weeks. This week, ABCs of Faith, 7 o'clock, Wednesday night. Be there with Larry and I. We've got breakfast and Bible study as well on Saturday morning. And to get to that class, it's done over Zoom. Go to our church website, bradenton.church/Zoom, and you'll have all the info you need to join that class on Saturday morning online. We've got worship at 9 and 11 every Sunday, live in person with social distancing and masks, and we are also streaming both of those services online. So you don't want to miss out what's going on here. God is doing an amazing work in each one of us and in our church. We all go through stuff. Our enemies persecute us. The world tries to bring us down and tries to get our eyes off of Jesus. But you know what? It's not the end of the story. We rejoice in the salvation offered to us in Jesus Christ. Just as he stood in the courts of Pontius Pilate, just as he took the beating and accepted the passion as part of his journey to doing God's will and glorifying God, we so can take on the persecutions and the difficulties in our own lives. We can strive to be like Jesus, rising above it and rejoicing in the salvation that he has carved out for each one of us. Thanks be to God. That's all I've got this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time on This Week with Pastor Dino. Bye-bye.